I really wanted to get into, and I don't know, maybe just to humanize the situation, and you don't have to, but how it felt to essentially be attacked and to have all these videos made and to have the celebration of something failing that you worked so incredibly hard. You're such a sweet man and you were trying to bring back this nostalgic thing that you and so many people loved. You were pouring your heart and soul into making this thing as good as it can be. That was the position that you were given, you know?
Yeah.
And to have it come to an end because of whatever production reason, and then to cop all the hate and be blamed for it ending, and to have all these people, even some people you thought were your friends, making videos about you and celebrating the end. How did that feel? And I know the answer, but I want to hear it.
It felt like I was a movie that was being played. People were just constantly rewinding it just to watch that moment.
Like that moment in Simpsons with the heartbreak.
Yeah, it just really felt like there were a subset of people out there that were just like, let's watch this again. There are people to this day that still harass me, that harass my employees, harass my family, harass my former G4 friends. I'm still friends with them, but you know what I mean. Like,
yeah, no, I get you.
It really hurt because, I mean, look, I've been doing this for 12 years, right? I haven't really had any personal controversies that have like aside from my former friend Greg when I first started The Completionist. The Completionist, I used to have like a sidekick character.
Oh yeah, I remember.
His name was Greg. We were best friends, and then we weren't, and it became this whole public thing.
Yeah.
This was before the era of drama channels and reaction channels. If it happened today, I wouldn't be standing here with you guys. I'd be gone. Just because
I doubt that.
I genuinely believe it, and so I have seen that visceral. I was afraid of my audience for like 4 or 5 years because of what happened with Greg and I. And then when I finally revealed what happened and how I was trying to change it with New Game Plus, people respected me again, and the tide kind of changed. But I've been surrounded by content creators and friends that have been in hot water. I don't need to say who and why, but it's very obvious over the years who they are. And it's a shame because like so much of the stuff that's publicly out there is nowhere near accurate or even fair to them, but because you're associated by standing next to the heat, you get those attacks and you're a part of it. So for me, when G4 came to me and they were like, we want you to join G4, I felt like I was like, oh man, they're willing to forgive my controversies of the past to let me start anew. And so to have G4 become its own controversy that, and the reaction attached to it was 10 times worse than the ones I had prior, it was debilitating. It was like not being able to enjoy anything. And it really, it's going to sound weird. Like I have 5 therapists. I genuinely have 5 therapists. I
have one.
Each one's for something different, right? I suffer from codependency in my never-ending ability to please people, to try and please my father and the legacy that he's built for us kids. I have a couples therapy for me and my partner. I have my own personal therapist. I have a business therapist to help with consulting.
Exists.
We could use that.
Yeah, well, like, dealing with
we need the couples therapy.
dealing with employee conflict and how to handle those situations. And the last therapist is just kind of like an overall therapist that interacts with all the other ones to really track my progress and go through it. And I've always had therapy at a young age, given because of my mom's illness. I've always just been, that's why I'm extremely extroverted, because I'm used to talking a lot. And a theater kid, you just want to get on the stage and talk, right? So for me, that was the first time where I felt like the therapy wasn't helping. It really felt like, there's no amount of talking or self-exploration or preservation or bargaining that it would really help me get over the humps that I'm encountering. And I say this with love. Losing G4 was like losing a limb. It really felt so personal. And at that same time that G4 exploded, I lost several sponsors. I was making that eShop video and I was like, people wouldn't touch me because of the controversy at the
happened
time.
around that time.
It was in the. I mean, it was before and after, right? It was like that middle area.
Is that why you had a hard time getting a sponsor?
No, I mean at that point it was already happening, but like not nearly as bad. The final nail in the coffin happened in October, but the eShop video started in August.
Okay.
But getting a sponsor, I lost sponsors in the middle of that when it was first kind of firing off. And then I lost more afterwards.
Also, you made a whole MCN with it, and you were on that MCN.
Yeah,
and
I lost
so you lost an MCN.
I lost that MCN. Yeah.
So all this controversy, backlash, it cost you sponsors?
It cost him his whole management, his whole MCN.
I lost it. I had 2 employees quit / I had to fire one, not because I wanted to fire. I made it a goal as a business owner to never fire an employee. That was my number one promise to myself. I would never fire or get rid of an employee for any reason. And I was looking at my finances and going, oh, I don't have enough money to do this.
I think we could, in this situation, say let go.
Right.
I don't think you fired anyone.
Let go.
You had
right.
to let go.
Let go.
Of someone.
And then the worst part is that the game companies that I was close with, aside from like the indie guys who I was repping hard with and messing with, I stopped getting game codes for games. So I lost access to, and I still don't have access to this day.
This makes no sense.
I hate this industry.
Listen, yeah, that makes.
Well,
makes no sense.
I can't say I don't know for sure. I can't blame G4 or blame past controversies or even lack of sponsors because of it all. But I can tell you, like, I stopped getting game codes. I stopped getting email responses. People just stopped communicating to me. And
they must have attached you to it and then was like, oh, if G4's done that, I guess he's done.
Right. You know? But the thing is...
It like became your brand.
Right. But the thing is that if you look at my analytics and you look at my channel...
You still have a whole channel.
And you look at my audience...
With your own merit.
I never stopped creating content once during G4. My views didn't disappear.
Was it outperforming G4? I mean,
yes.
Yeah, I was going to say,
definitely.
your own channel is probably outperforming that.
Right. I made a TV show called God of Work that I wrote with the
which,
team.
by the way, watched it all, was sick.
Thank you.
Good
Thank
job.
you. And like we were showing people that we could make good stuff.
Yeah.
My audience loved it. My friends loved it. Like
it's like The Office, but video game characters.
Yeah, it's what video game characters are like actors in this world, and they have to go somewhere between games.
Yeah.
And so they get assigned a random job at a temp agency. And so I played Kratos. I shaved my head. I actually announced it and debuted here at PAX. And then in the middle of the convention show floor, I went and shaved my head.
Oh my God.
Because we started production the minute I got back.
That's
so
wild.
I flew back to LA, and then I shot 7 days straight worth of God of Work. And we loved it. It turned out great.
It turned out great.
It was so phenomenal. And it showed everyone that we can make cool shit and feel good about it. And
you had a fight to get that back, right?
Fight to get it back and fight to get it made. Every single like outside of the X-Play team that makes the stuff that we did, they were all so badass and they were so fun to work with. It was never Team X-Play or Team TAC of the show was the problem. It was always like the middle management of production that was like, don't spend this money, don't do this. But then it'd be like, hey, check out this new mixer we bought that's $40,000, and you're like, no, that's an employee's salary. What are you doing? Don't do that. Anyways, wrapping things up, it really ruined my confidence. And honestly, one of the biggest anxieties I had going into 3DS eShop video was this thing might not take off because people are going to go, that's that guy that ruined G4. That's the guy that was a part of the explosion.
You had nothing to do with it being ruined.
The 3DS video takes off, and not one article mentions G4. Not one article mentions that I am a television host or a content creator.
I wanted to talk about that when you brought it up, because I've seen that where you're in the headline as YouTuber or gamer or fan, which is what Go Nintendo said.
Sorry,
I saw
Go
that
Nintendo.
Back and forth.
Sorry, you guys.
No, but that really opened me up a little bit to some insight on that, because they do it on purpose. They want you to click through to see who the person is. But Go Nintendo responded and said that it was more so. Well, they pretty much they confirmed it. They said like people might not know who you are.
Yeah.
And I wanted to research this before we even did this podcast. The amount of people that follow Go Nintendo on Twitter and the amount of people that follow you, the Venn diagram is probably a full circle.
Yes. I would agree.
If you're a Go Nintendo, if you're a fan of Nintendo enough to follow Go Nintendo, you're probably following Jirard.
As like one of the
that didn't make any sense when they said
as
that.
one of like the OG content creators in the Nintendo Ambassador program. If you follow Nintendo Life, Go Nintendo, any one of those social sites, chances are you've heard of me or know who I am. And it's so funny because in the beginning I was like, oh, this is so cute.
It is funny to see all the different names that they call you.
Yeah, I saw someone. Random guy.
Random guy's good.
Random guy was good.
That's upsetting.
Yeah. Someone. They wrote this in their article because they wanted to be clickbait, but they shared it with me and I laughed. It was like random sicko. Which was
like,
God.
That's good.
I genuinely.
I like that.
I popped. It was funny.
Yeah.
I was like, that's really good. What I felt bad about was when you start getting towards the mainstream outlets like Variety, Polygon, Kotaku, IGN, GameSpot. I know a lot of writers who work at those places, and to see each one of them try and do the clickbait inverse by like not showing who it was, I kind of sat there and I was like, I think you probably had a better time being like ex-woke G4 TV host, spent last of his paycheck on entire Wii U eShop or whatever it may be. But not one of them did. It was all just like in a very like, you'll never guess who it was. The article that really like made me happy was Games Radar. I think the headline was like, the completionist was the hero that we didn't and shouldn't have needed.
That's awesome.
That's and that to me, I was like, oh man, like they understood the piece.
At least somebody did that.
Yeah. And the piece was like, and then of course like YouTuber spends all this money in video game preservation, but he shouldn't have had to.
Yeah.
And it breaks down the video from like a narrative perspective, and then it brings in all the research that the Video Game History Foundation's been public about for years. And it quotes Kelsey and Frank over the years. And Kelsey did a massive tweet thread that I retweeted that was like, hey, in case you all are dunking on Jirard for not just emulating it, bro, this is the reasons why you should pay attention to it. So it's been really wonderful to see that reception. And, when I say this eShop video gave me life, it really did. Because for the last 6-7 months, I've just been like, well, I'm that woke asshole from G4.
I was about to say, I love that I asked you, like, how did that affect you? And we've ended up at how awesome you're doing now.
It took a while. It took a while to get there.
Let's go, baby. I'm so
back
happy
to what we
for you.
started the podcast about.
I'm so happy for you.
Thank you.
You deserve the world, man. I'm your biggest supporter, I swear.